Ms. McSally.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for your service and your patience during this long hearing. Mr. Murphy, I want to start off with you, talking about the WASP, these amazing women who served in World War II as pilots, 1,074 of them, pioneers, opened the door for people like me to be able to serve. Do you believe that they should be allowed to be in Arlington?
Yes.
Do you believe you have the authority to let them into Arlington quickly?
Yes, to an individual exception of policy.
How about just as a group, the WASP? We want to let the WASP into Arlington because of the amazing service that they did.
No, ma'am, and that's why I support your legislation. It's why I've done another course of action. Again, you know, ma'am, we all take an oath to support and defend the Constitution. And that Constitution, we have the rule of law. I cannot violate law or U.S. regulations. U.S. regulations right now, and I know I'm not trying to give you mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, that's okay.
But
I hear you.
But ma'am, that's why I support your legislation. That's why I'm supporting a commission to address it. But the quickest way to do this would be individual exception policy. These women, Air
That's
Force
not what we're
service
looking
pilots
for, Mr. Murphy.
are here as. I'm sorry.
We're looking for all the WASP to be able to let in. And just to be
Yes.
clear, so you're saying you can't make that happen right now for all the WASP. Can the Secretary of Defense?
No.
Can the Commander-in-Chief?
No.
You believe nobody in the executive branch has the
Congress can.
authority to
The
make an
Congress can.
exception?
Ma'am, the Congress can. Ma'am, and the WASP were not treated. I'm trying to right the wrong, ma'am. I agree with you. I support you 100%. But Congress in 1977 changed, after decades of service, they allowed WASP to be buried in veteran cemeteries.
Do you really believe the Commander-in-Chief doesn't have the authority right now? I mean,
he also
makes
takes
executive orders all the time that he
I know,
can't say the WASP are allowed, or a group exception to policy.
individual exceptions to policy, ma'am.
So
they can,
if I
but not
submitted
group.
an exception to policy for 1,074 of my closest friends, would that be considered?
I would support that legislation, like I support your current legislation, as long as it's an above-the-ground interment, yes.
So you think it literally does take an act of Congress as the fastest way to fix a problem?
There was an act of Congress in 1977, ma'am, in 1977, which said they were allowed to be buried in veteran cemeteries, but they precluded them from being, they didn't allow them to be buried in Arlington, ma'am. But what I'm saying is Congress needs to change what Congress did in 1977. I can't change it unilaterally. SecDef can't change it unilaterally. The Commander-in-Chief can't. That's why we have co-equal branches of government.
Okay.
Now, I support your efforts.
Thanks. I just wanted to clarify whether you thought the executive branch had any ability to change it right now.
To my understanding, I need to talk common law at West Point. For my counsel and everything I've researched in support of your efforts, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
and I know it's not the answer you want to hear.
That's all right.
That's the answer.
Just wanted to get the answer on the record. So,
Okay.
all right, Secretary James, it's great to see you last week at Davis-Monthan. Thanks for coming out to visit General Welch. I only have a couple minutes left. I do want to follow up on the A-10. Thank you for not trying to put the A-10 in the boneyard this year and continuing to keep it flying, although I am concerned about the future plans. And there seems like there's some inconsistencies within the Pentagon. When the Secretary of Defense announced his budget, before we actually saw the details, he said the A-10 won't be retired until 2022, and his quote was, they'll be replaced by F-35s only on a squadron-by-squadron basis as they come online, ensuring that all units have sufficient backfill to retain enough aircraft needed to fight today's conflict. So we got the impression, as the F-35 became FOC, squadron by squadron, after 2022, that would happen. When we actually got the budget and we saw the plans of the Air Force, we see that starting in FY18, actually 2 squadrons are going in the boneyard, 19, 49 more aircraft, 20, 64 more aircraft, and 21, 96 more aircraft. Last August, the Test and Evaluation Office, Dr. Gilmore, agreed that there was going to be a fly-off between the A-10 and the F-35 to compare capabilities side by side. The earliest that'll happen is F-18. They think maybe even 19. By the time we get a report to Congress, that'll be 20. Our perspective is that we shouldn't put one more A-10 in the boneyard until this test is complete and we actually have a report to assess any sort of risks, and then we move forward. It seems like there's just a number of inconsistencies in the timing here. Are you not willing to wait until the test is complete to make a decision to move forward on putting in any more A-10s in the boneyard?
This is once again a budgetary issue, and I'll let the chief talk about how the SecDef's comments relate to the squadrons of the F-35. So we'll come back to that. I was impressed with the boneyard, by the way. I was impressed with everything that I saw at Davis-Monthan. It is strictly a budgetary matter. It was last year and the year before as well, and you're right. Our 5-year plan does begin in FY18 gradually to retire the A-10.
Chief, you got any comment? I mean, when Dr. Gilmore mentioned the fly-off, you said, I think, let me just make sure that is you, the idea that the F-35 is going to walk in the door next year when it reaches IOC and take over for the A-10 is just silly. It's never been intent. We're never going to do that. That's not the plan. And really gearing more towards FOC, which we're talking much further down the road.
Yes, ma'am. And the idea, the F-35 is intended to be the high-threat CAS platform. We are losing CAS capacity. That's what the Budget Control Act has done to us. The real issue in 18, and the reason that we start the divestiture in 18, and I can't account for why Secretary of Defense's comments were this way, but the plan has been the same since it was submitted with our budget, is that the workarounds we put in place till now allow us to bed down the F-35 through IOC by getting maintenance manpower from other places by contracting it out. In FY18, all those things kind of run out, and we're now short people to stand up F-35 units. And so if we keep the A-10 by FY21, the scheduled FOC date for the F-35, we will be about 50% short of the maintenance manpower required to field the F-35. So it's a manpower problem.
Okay, I'm over my time, but we'll follow up with you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.